October was absolutely a vibe. There was so much that went on in my mind because, yes, it's my birthday month, but for me, my birthdays are basically the start of a new year. And so I don't know about you, but I get a bit apprehensive when my birthday is coming because I'm just thinking about all of the different things. What have I accomplished? What have I not accomplished? What's halfway through? Am I really doing a good job? Could I have done better? Just all of the things, right? And I am very guilty of seeing my failures before seeing my success points. I'm my toughest critic, and showing myself grace is something that I have definitely had to become more mindful of doing. I don't always do a good job, but I'm a work in progress. I will say that. So, with that being said, I was like not really looking forward to my birthday. Like, I'm grateful, don't get me wrong, especially given we are in the season of COVID, but celebrating. There's like a part of me that felt guilty about even celebrating, given where we're at in the world. So many people who are dealing with just so much loss and all of the things. So I really just didn't know what to think. And I said, you know what? I think by the 15th of the month, I had just come to a point where I was like, you've got to stop trying to make the situation seem as though it is dire and you are, the most fucked up person in the world. You're not. You're not perfect. You have not done everything according to plan. Some things have dropped, some things have soared in a way in which you probably would never have thought. Ultimately, you're human, you're here. That alone is something to be grateful for. So get your shit together, girl. And so I came up with this idea of like, how do I celebrate virtually? How do I connect with people in my life who are important to me that I don't get to see and who are not local, especially? And so I came up with this idea to have WAP yoga, which is wellness and praise, not what you guys are thinking, not the Cardi B, Megan Stallion version, even though I am absolutely in favor of what they did, FYI. So we came up with WAP yoga. My best friend Koku and I, kind of worked through that, how that was going to work. And she hosted it and it was dope. Turns out, I'm in between meetings that day, very important meetings. And so they were like, oh my God, you're working on your birthday? Yes. Yes, I am. Yes. Adulting is hard as fuck, but sometimes you must do it. And so I did. And no regrets, because I definitely am now older and wiser and in a space where when I am working, because I'm so aligned with my purpose, it doesn't feel like I am doing myself a disjustice or an injustice, or I'm sorry, a disservice or an injustice by working on my birthday. I pray for many of you that you get to a point where working on your birthday doesn't feel like you're doing yourself a disservice or an injustice, or you're just in a space where you can afford to not work on your birthday, but you choose to anyway. Like, it doesn't feel painful if you do. To me, that's goals. So with that being said, I'm definitely kind of like halfway through. I would have loved to have been working on my birthday from a beach. Let me just put that out there. Anyway, so in between that, my mom and my sisters, put together this cute little brunch, my favorite things to eat. And, my mom even made me like fresh ginger beer, like Sierra Leonean style. So I was definitely like happy and in a good space, all of that already. And then my dad shows up unexpectedly with this cute balloon and card. And what was so important about him showing up is that he just did it because he wanted to. And there were no strings attached. It wasn't like he showed up with all of that and then started like lecturing me or like sharing his concerns, whatever those may be, about whatever I may or may not be doing with my life, or, just any rhetoric that would have pissed me off. All of that was like, I don't know if he kept it in his glove compartment of his vehicle. I don't know if he has discarded it completely. I don't know. All I know is it was the first time in a long time where he has just shown up and just offered good energy and pure love. I'm just really grateful. But let me be clear. I take that as one of the little miracles that I've prayed for. I take it as a blessing, but I still, I still work with him and deal with him in a way that makes sense for me and my mental health, because we have a long, very complicated history. And so I'm not like in a space where I'm like, oh, well, all is forgotten and everything is peaches and cream. I'm not that person. I guess I'm working towards that. But what I am is working towards being a better version of myself and praying that he is doing the same, and hoping that when God brings us together, even if it's for quick moments or beyond that, that we are doing nothing but like feeding each other good energy, true love, and like a healthy relationship. So that moment was like maybe a stepping stone. I'm just grateful. And shout out to all of you who either like responded directly to the post or DM'd me or called me when they saw the picture of him and I on my timeline on Instagram, because, I knew that it was going to mean more to others maybe than even to me, because of those who know my story, because there are a lot of people who share a similar story of just hard relationships with parents. It doesn't even matter like where you're from. I think across the nations, across cultures, across ethnicities, like many of us just have hard moments that have happened in our lives with our parents. And so when you can get to a point in your life where you really forgive and you're just open to a possibility of just better days ahead, you can manifest that and it can happen. And so really, really, really powerful moment for me on my birthday, and I'm grateful. Super shout out to my sister for catching the moment, because I was just holding balloons and trying to be cute in my dress. She captured it. Shout out to you, Ben, too. So that happened, and then gosh, in the evening, one of my super, super, super dear friends, basically like a big brother to me, who I have not been able to like see consistently and hang out with since like 2016, was able to make time, and we went to dinner and just caught up and just chilled, and it was just so great. And again, like, little moments, prayers, miracles. I've prayed for that moment. Like, if you know me and you know my friend Seiki and you know his story, then that to me was again like another miracle, another miraculous moment, another prayer that came true. Like, I'm so grateful. That was my birthday. Like, all of the different phone calls, literally starting from like 8 o'clock in the morning, and the text messages all the way clear until like the next day of just showering me with attention and devotion and love. And, just y'all are dope. Thank you. Thank you so much. The prayers, people praying for good into my life, people thanking me for whatever they believe I've helped them with or helped them do or helped them see or helped them accomplish or helped them stay away from. Like, it's dope. So, like, imagine all of my birthday has happened and, I'm just already on cloud nine, super happy, super thankful, like, just super happy. And a surprise birthday party is waiting for me. Like, what? The same people, the same cast and characters, pretty much, right? I was told I was going to dinner. Getting dressed up is not something that's like irregular. Hello, I'm a designer. Like, we get dressed up. My stylist had sent me a piece from her upcoming collection. It's an upcycle vintage collection. Be on the lookout. And I was just excited to like just have something new and nice and, just do something very low key, but still cool and still along the lines of what I would do, which is go to dinner with loved ones. And Saturday, my plan was to meet up with my friends that are local for drinks in the evening. And we were going to, one of the best Black-owned restaurants here in the city. Reservations had already been put in, and that was the plan. So imagine I walk into this house that I'm told is the aunts of Brittany. We're supposed to only be there for about 20 minutes tops because a relative had come into town and she didn't want to be rude and not stop by. And I walk in, and instead, all of my local friends, family members, that, of course, within COVID, social distancing numbers and stuff like that. So not everyone, but a good, safe amount were just there. I'm like, whose house is this? My sisters rented an Airbnb and put together this entire situation for me. So like, it would be just wrong of me to not break down the level of gratitude and love that I have for them. Not only them, everyone who participated, everybody who knew and kept quiet, and just watched me just make my little Saturday plans and just, be in my Gaima mode and just go about my business, knowing and did not spoil the surprise because I was so unaware. That those images that you see are like me overwhelmed. I'm an empath. Every feeling, every emotion I feel like that I walked into in that room, like it engulfed me, along with, of course, what I had inside of just like, wow, what is this? Like, there was a picture of me hanging, a poster of like my book, candles set, all these different little beautiful, considerate things. I was like, this is crazy. All of this has been going on, like food catered, good food, like just bottles of champagne upon champagne and wine, just what I drink, right? Just thoughtful. It was a vibe. I was so happy. I'm still happy. I will forever be happy. I will forever be grateful. If you can share, extend good vibrations, feelings, energy, love to the people around you, especially during this time, do it. Sometimes, you go out and you really think like you will have another time, another day, but we must all at this point in time really start to understand like life is not promised. When you have the opportunity to be there, share, love, do that. I'm so grateful. That's how it happened, y'all. That is how it happened. I've been asked, what's the biggest lesson learned this year? Like, what a question, right? I'm like, oh, that's loaded. Hello. But I'm going to try. I wrote down some lessons learned, like literally, I wrote them down. And one of the biggest lessons, I must say, is that you do not have to entertain toxic family members in your life. You don't. It's a difficult decision to make when you establish boundaries, and sometimes those boundaries are barriers. But if it protects your peace, it fortifies your mental space, then that's more important than the popularity contest of being the most popular family member out here in these streets. Like, oh, everybody loves Gaima. She's always showing up and she's always available and she takes your call no matter what. And if you need anything monetarily, she gives it to you without question. Fuck all that shit. Fuck it all. I'm not saying don't do for your family, but do not allow your family to do you. I've had 2 very emotionally taxing moments this year. I'm sorry, 3. Where I really have had to sit down and get into my bag and understand what was happening and like unpack each piece and look at it, analyze it, lay it out, unpack the others, and then look at it holistically and figure out what aspect of that is me, where do I need to be accountable, and what aspect of that is not me. It belongs to that person. It belongs in their bag, and they need to take that and do what they got to do with it. It's not easy because your default as a family member is to just be there, show up, love. That's like my default. That's like how I was raised, that whole philosophy, that mindset. But I've also witnessed over the years and then experienced how that shit does not actually, it doesn't pay well. It creates more harm than good when you're dealing with a relative, a family member who actually is not in alignment with you. Sometimes you're just not in alignment with motherfuckers who you share the same bloodline with. Sometimes you're just not in alignment with motherfuckers who you were raised up with, who you know to be your family. Sometimes you're just not in alignment with a parent. You have to do what is best for you. You must prioritize yourself. If you feel guilty about that, you need to get to a point where you stop. I experienced an incident earlier in the year where I had a dream. And literally 2 weeks later, the energy of that dream became reality with one of my family members. And my sister called me, and because she was one of the only people I told the dream to. And when she called me and explained the situation, and I was like, I told you about my dream. And she just got quiet. I had a situation that happened recently to me where I had to realize, like, my personality, my spirit, whatever it is that I give off, it does not work well for one of my relatives. They are not able to take me as I am. And a result of that, we don't have as close of a relationship as we used to. Things that are important, pivotal moments that have happened over the course of this year. Like, I was not the person that they picked up the phone to call. I was like the person who found out after the fact. And, you know, initially it was like, whoa, what the fuck? But because I have been doing work on trying to understand and check my ego and not be led by my ego, that was where I had to practice what I've learned about the ego and realize, like, it's not about me. Not everything that goes on and how people make decisions and how people communicate, it's not about me. It's not always about me. But in case it is, I have to accept the fact that that is what works best for them. And ultimately, because it does not harm me, I need to accept that that's also, in this case, between me and that person, what works for us. And, you know, it took a day. It took a day to really settle into that, because it's one thing to say it and the analysis and the logic, but it's another thing to, like, accept it and believe it. So it took me some hours truly to really get behind that notion, but I'm behind it and I get it. And I have to, because I too am practicing those behaviors with people in my life that trigger me. So if I am a trigger to someone and it's best for them that they stay away from me, I have to respect that. And I do. Where initially, you know, I'd be like, oh, what a loss. You know, that friendship or that connection or whatever is no more, or it's not what it used to be. I have to say, like, God has provided me with deeper relationships with others. That space may have been empty, but it's now full, and maybe it's even more full and more fulfilling because I am a better version of myself and just more aware. And so maybe what I did wrong with that family member, I'm more conscious. And so I do better with the other family member, kind of who has, like, become the person who fills that void, if you will. So all around, it's just a better. But yeah. And so it's one thing, like, it's very easy to be like, oh, you did this, and so da 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 da, and so boundaries or barriers for you. But it's another thing to also understand that you may be that person that people need to put boundaries up for. I understand that about myself. I'm a lot. I am a lot. And sometimes too much. I'm okay with that. Where I believe I personally may need to change, you know, I go deep, I look into that, if something is brought to my attention, I look deep and I go into that. It doesn't mean I always agree, but I will at least pay attention and go deep and look into that. What I also don't do is speculate on what is not brought before me. If it's not brought before me, it's not for me. Those are the lessons. And I believe that I'm better for it. I'm really excited about the fact that you all have been really tuned in and engaged in my IGTV series, Conversations with Creatives. I'm going to be unpacking those conversations in some upcoming podcast episodes because the amount of content, like just from my peers and just these people that I am blessed to know and have been able to converse with, like, I can't keep it to myself. And I know not all of you have access to Instagram or, maybe even have the time, but like this platform is better for you. So I'm going to be bringing clips from those interviews to the podcast and unpacking them in a very creative way that highlights a lot of the lessons learned during those conversations. I just think it's important. But in the meantime, if you have the opportunity, please check out my Instagram, which is I am Gaima. You can view all of the different episodes on my Instagram channel. It's called IGTV. You can find it there. I think I have about close to at least 25 episodes. I'm treating that as my first season. I'm scheduling out the new season as of now. The content is going to just get even more and more I'm just so excited. I'm so excited. I just think that this is the time where if no one has had the realization, creatives are being recognized for their true talent and ability to pivot and adjust to the environments and the situations and still flourish, still find a way to do their thing. And usually people historically have not taken creative seriously enough, but I think with all that has taken place in 2020, there's just been so much reckoning and so much realizations that have occurred. And I think now overall, everybody is just starting to get it. Everybody is starting to understand that they have the ability to tap into their creativity and share that with the world in a positive way. And to be able to speak with the people in my life that are dope, that I have known for years, some that I've known for a very short period of time, but we just connected, and be able to just allow them to share their knowledge on my platform and share me with people in their platforms. It's just been an amazing experience thus far, and I'm looking forward to upcoming conversations. So check out Conversations with Creatives on my Instagram channel, IGTV, at I am Gaima. I never thought that I would say that I had a good time visiting wine country. That's what I'm calling it. Wine country in Ohio. But I did. Thanks to one of my dearest friends, Kristen Robinson, aka Kristen in Transit on Instagrams. For her birthday, which was just a few days ago, we celebrated with her in a very small COVID mindful group, if you will, by sharing a day trip to the country, outskirts of Columbus, Ohio, to visit several wineries and breweries that are local. And it was really kind of like incredible to me because, born and raised in Columbus, I know that there's wineries that exist in the Midwest, but wineries that exist that close by and, the wine actually tastes good. We went to Boakes Creek Winery, Ravenhurst Champagne Cellars, Bear Vine Winery, and Rhetoric Brewing Company. I must say, we were treated kindly in every single one of those places. I was surprised because we are young Black women and we were in Trump country in 2020. Bottom line, it is what it is. Our chauffeur, if you will, our gracious chauffeur, a friend of the birthday girls, is a white man and definitely familiar with the place, definitely drives a very big, nice pickup truck. And that was definitely how we were caravanned around. So in a sense, we were in Rome doing what Romans do. But once we went into the spaces and we met with people who were there, the people who own the place, most of them were the ones who worked there or they were present. And we got to speak with them and everyone was very kind. Doesn't mean that we share the same political views, but everyone was kind. And kindness wins for me. It just does. I was so surprised. I'm not someone who travels throughout Ohio. No one knows me for that. People, you all know me for passionately caring about traveling through the continent of Africa. That has not changed. Let me be clear. However, my takeaway from this, day trip was more than anything to just be open to the possibility of goodness. As long as you have the right intentions and you show up with the positive energy and the kind vibrations, I believe that you will receive that in spaces and places where you may least expect it. That's what happened for us. That's definitely what happened for me. I'm grateful to Kristen, my fellow October baby, for not just always being like such a sister to me, but for her being the type of person that I can trust. Because that's the one thing that a lot of people, I don't think, realize. Like when you have friends, real, true, good friends, there is a level of trust that exists that is built up over the years, especially, as you mature and you all realize that you're maturing, that you can trust each other's judgment. And I trusted her judgment and I was not let down. It was just a beautiful day. It was cold, but I had on my, my coat and all that. So I was prepared. I had my gloves, so I was warm. So I was good. I encourage you, if you are ever coming to visit Ohio and you're in, the, Central Ohio area and you have the opportunity to go visit a winery, one of these 4 wineries, I would definitely recommend. Again, one is a champagne cellar. So if you're into champagne, definitely Ravenhurst. If you're not into champagne, we still found some good wines. What I will note is that Bear Vine had a Chardonnay that one of the girls that was with us, Kristen's sister, Devin, she doesn't even like wine, but she fell in love with the Chardonnay that they had there. So you'd just be surprised. So Stay open, try something new, try your best not to prejudge a situation. You might be depriving yourself from a beautiful, new, potentially mindset changing experience. You never know. Flourish or die, flourish or die, flourish or die. FlourishOrDie.com is now happening. It is something that the title of the book, obviously, that I wrote last year and published, self-published, Amazon.com, get your copy. That definitely happened. Super duper duper proud of just being able to do it. But I knew that I wanted to do something beyond the book. And so over the course of, the year, it was like, well, what do I want to do? And what do I want to offer that makes sense, that I can continuously offer, that, my community will appreciate and consume and utilize and enjoy. So finally, I've settled into some products that I am now able to offer, apparel products and accessories, in addition to the book and some services. And I'm just excited because there will be a continuous availability of just products. Whatever hits my creative vibe is what I'll create and do. And it's now there for you guys. So check out FlourishOrDie.com. You've been listening to I Am Gaima, a podcast. I Am Gaima, a podcast, is produced literally wherever I am in the world, as long as I've got my laptop and my audio equipment. A special thanks to Vicky Cassis for producing Vibes. Before we wrap this episode up, I wanted to share something really exciting with you all. If you're a creative, an influencer, entrepreneur, or dreamer, you should check out my first little book called Flourish or Die. I share my perspective of what defines the journey of entrepreneurship and the role that mental fortitude plays throughout the journey. In this book, you'll find a 30-day exercise that hopefully evokes the writer in you, because anyone, especially anyone that's in one of these 4 categories, should be writing, journaling every single day. Flourish or Die is available in paperback as well as ebook on Amazon. You can connect with me personally about the book at FlourishOrDie.com. Add Flourish Daily Quotes to your Alexa. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, review, and share this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcast fix. Thanks for listening.